have known Dr. Bill Bontempi for almost 14 years now. Hard to believe, time flies. I was having my wisdom teeth removed and wanted to go to the best oral surgeon. So I went in and I was nervous, as everybody is when they go to the dentist. And he walks in with this big smile on his face, singing a song, and instantly I just felt relaxed. He has this aura all the time that surrounds him that just makes you want to be around him. He's very approachable. He wants to listen to you 100% about anything that you want to discuss. I have little kids in school. He has little kids in school. We're seeing every day what they're facing. I think it's really important to have a parent on the school committee that sees what's going on and the decisions that they're making, how it affects our families directly. That's all I have.
Do we have another support speech for Mr. Bontempi? You're fine. Sorry, I confused you.
I'll do it again. Carolyn Goretti, 2 Fronterwood Drive. I have watched our school department implement cost cutting and the removal of programs and specials, libraries and computer labs off limits due to staff cuts, teachers and paraprofessional positions gone, a focus on hiring part-timers and teachers low on the pay scale with less teaching experience, and a lack of investment in supplies and building maintenance. Our district certainly is not what it used to be. Instead, if you look at last year's budget and accomplishments for the year, you'll find that most of the money was spent on Common Core related expenses. The town implemented FAST assessments, the new teacher education evaluation, DDMs, Common Core curriculums, the park assessment, field testing, educational technology to support these initiatives, an elementary math support position, additional before and after school math supports at all elementary and middle schools, and a middle school multi-tiered support roll-up. Growing up in the Wilbraham schools and up until Common Core rollout, I've never seen the need for all these supports for our children. We have always excelled and had most of our students go on and complete college, and suddenly now they are failures, need remediation and test taking all the time, and our MCAS scores plummeted in the grades where the Common Core curriculums were introduced. During my presentations and attendance at school committee meetings over the last 2 years, I've witnessed a top-down approach from our superintendent and school committee. It is their way or the highway with no open transparency and communication on their part. They want residents and parents to take their word on blind faith without doing the work involved to prove their singular recommendations. They often ignored or refused to respond to valid questions and concerns by residents about these initiatives and recently about their proposal for a 1 middle school model. They have refused an open forum on Common Core and I believe are generally not doing their homework. For these reasons, I urge you to join me in voting for change and supporting our anti-Common Core candidate, William Bontempi, as a voice for parents and residents. We need to return the dollars back to our children, our classrooms, our teachers, and buildings. The school department is supposed to work for us.
Thank you, Carol. We have another support speech for Mr. Bontempi. Seeing none, Mr. Bontempi, would you like to address the caucus for up to 5 minutes?
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming. I'm sorry I don't have a prepared speech. It's really not my thing. And contrary to what Katrina said, I don't have an S on my chest. I don't wear a cape, although I'm sure my 3-year-old son would love it if I did. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Greenfield, Massachusetts, attended public schools in Greenfield, graduated in 1986. I Attended Bowdoin College in Brunswick, Maine, receiving a Bachelor of Arts degree in Biology and Chemistry in 1990. I graduated from Tufts University Dental School in 1994, ranked #1 in the class, and graduated summa cum laude. Graduated in 1997 from the University of Connecticut School of Medicine. Received my certificate in oral and maxillofacial surgery from the University of Connecticut Health System in 1999. I'm currently board certified by the Board of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery since 2003, and my certification is current to 2023. I currently have 3 offices in the Connecticut River Valley, and I serve 2 hospitals as associate surgeon. So you guys are all sitting there looking at me saying, why is this guy running for school committee? Doesn't he have enough on his plate? And you know what? I do. But when my 2nd grader comes home and I can't figure out her homework, that's a problem. I graduated from the #5 liberal arts college in the country. I have 2 doctorates. And my wife and I, my beautiful wife who's sitting here with me, are arguing, trying to figure out what's going on in their math homework. And that's really what got me interested in running for school committee. And my wife and I have had long conversations about this. What are the pluses and the minuses? And yes, I see Common Core as a big problem. But as I run as a candidate for school committee, I'm not running as strictly an anti-Common Core candidate. I have no animosity towards Mark Ducey. I have no animosity towards Michelle Immersion. And I know that being on a school committee is a huge responsibility. My own mother was on the school committee in Greenfield for 15 years. And I had the privilege of her handing me my diploma when I walked across that stage because she was on the school committee. I understand that there's a lot of work involved. And you know what? I have the ability to make room on my plate. And I have a beautiful wife who understands that this is important. Marissa is in 2nd grade, Angelina's in kindergarten, Dante will start preschool next year. My kids are going to be in this school system for the next 15 years. And I want to make sure that those 15 years are as good as the 15 years that I had at Greenfield High School. And I'll tell you, when I was a senior, our VCR broke. I took it downstairs and I began taking it apart. My mother walked up to me, she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Taking the VCR apart." She said, "Why?" I said, "Because I want to see if I can fix it." And she looked at me and she said, "Why are you going to do that?" And I said, "Because if I don't look at it and I don't know what's broken, I don't know how to fix it." And so moving forward, my goal is to look very carefully at what's going on through the budget, through school committee meetings, and as a parent, I want to be involved in how these schools are run. And I want to be involved in how this town helps our schools. So I appreciate your time and your attention, and I hope for your vote.
Thank you, Bill. Our 2nd nominated candidate for school committee is Jim Burke. Do we have a nominating speech for Jim? George.
Good evening. My name is George Gordon. I live at 20 Glen Drive. I've been there, 25, 30 years. And I did prepare a little bit about Jim's character. I have known Jim Burke for over 25 years and always found him to be a man of his word. He knows the school system, having been a substitute teacher after he retired, and he'll explain that. He served as a scoutmaster for 2 troops and is now a commissioner overseeing the Boy Scout summer camp, along with teaching a special training course for scouts. The Peach Festival. Jim started by parking cars. I think I started about a year after him. And he worked up to chairman of the festival, turning a profit every year, which resulted in scholarships. He has many citations on the wall from the governor of Connecticut regarding his outstanding performance, which he'll explain. He is known as a man of his word and will do the will of the people, having true, open forums. Thank you.
Thank you, George. We have another supporting speech for Jim Burke. Okay, Sarah?
Tara Kozub, 6 Beechwood Drive. I came here tonight with the words of Martin Luther King Jr. reverberating in my mind, and they are, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And so I came here specifically tonight because we have a choice before us as parents, citizens, and as Republicans. We have a choice between two candidates who will not remain silent. All 4 candidates are our friends. There's no animosity, just like we just heard. But 2 of our friends are going to speak up for us. 2, in my opinion, have remained silent. So as a mom, silent to Common Core. Well, we just heard about Common Core. I'm not hearing the 2 members on the school committee speak up for us as parents or for our children. So as a mom, I'm looking for a candidate who's going to speak for parents and children and speak up for local control of education rather than for the status quo, which is Common Core. And as a Republican, I'm looking for a candidate that's going to embrace and echo the Republican National Committee's 2012 rejection of Common Core that I have here. So we have that. This is a repudiation of Common Core. So I believe that Mr. Burke embraces that and will echo that and will speak up for me as a parent and for my children. And I also believe that Dr. Bontempi will do so as well. So I didn't expect to speak tonight, but as I'm listening, I had to come up and speak. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. I believe there's room for one more seconding speech if you have somebody. Seeing none, Mr. Burke, would you like to speak for 5 minutes?
Good evening. I'm Jim Burke. I've lived in town for almost 30 years. I raised 4 children and I've gone through our school system. I'm retired from the Connecticut Department of Corrections, where I ran a level 5 facility for special offenders. Also, while employed with the Department of Corrections, I was the union president for several years. During that time, I negotiated 2 labor contracts and 1 pension agreement. After my retirement, I became a substitute teacher in our school system here, working mainly in the middle school arena. I have co-chaired, as George mentioned, 3 peach festivals, and yes, we did start out in the parking lot with the Scouts. And it was a fun experience letting the boys lead. I have served as a Scoutmaster in 2 separate troops in town, and I'm currently the course director of the Western Mass Council of Boy Scouts National Youth Leader Training Seminar, which we run every summer at the Moses Scout Reservation. Tonight I ask for your support in running for school committee. I feel that I will bring leadership and vision to the school committee. Vision is what future success looks like. And I clearly see a committee where its members will openly discuss their thoughts and their ideas. I think the Common Core curriculum is not taking us in the direction that we need to be headed. This program does not allow teachers to share their knowledge, and the curriculum needs to be in control of the local committees, not the national or state government. I believe that unfunded mandates are not to be tolerated, and that we need to have direct our legislative representatives to bring our concerns to the general court in Boston. Just the other day at the regional school committee meeting, the subject of funding of the Common Core civics was discussed. Thankfully, it was tabled until money can be found to implement this revisionist history. We need to have a civics or a history curriculum that is verified by at least 2 separate sources. It teaches us where we came from and how we got here. In other words, if you don't know where you've been, how do you know where you're going? This way, I believe that our youth will have an idea of where we are headed. I feel that the school committee should have an open forum at least twice a year. A dialogue with the community is a good thing, where people can come and share their thoughts and ideas with the committee and ask questions. And yes, get an answer. Finally, I'm a senior citizen, and I live on a fixed income. I live within my means, and I feel that the school committee needs to do the same. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jim. Our third third nominated school committee member was Mark Ducey. Do I have a seconding speech for Mr. Ducey? Oh, I'm sorry, Bob, I didn't see your hand. Yeah, Bob?
Hello again, Bob Russell, 44 Stonegate Circle. Maybe you noticed the quote from Oprah that's out on the board. I don't usually agree with her, but on this quote I do. Integrity, it's doing the right thing when nobody else knows you're doing the right thing. Well, there isn't a person in this room that knows how much that applies to Mark Ducey than me. I've worked with him for at least 10 years. We've locked horns on lots of issues. Budgets, leases, rents, memorial, you name it, we've locked horns. I'm here to tell you, that man comes to the table with facts, he comes to the table with conviction and a genuine caring for the taxpayers of this community, and most importantly, the children that he is charged with as a school committee member. There isn't a finer person to be on the school committee than Mark Ducey.
Thank you, Bob. Do we have another nominating speech for Mr. Ducey? Seeing none, Mark Ducey, would you like to speak for 5 minutes?
Thank you. Good evening. These are challenging times for our schools. Since you elected me 3 years ago, I have chaired the Budget Subcommittee and currently chair the School Committee in the Middle School Task Force. I have the experience and the understanding of the challenges we face: budget shortfalls, changing enrollment patterns, unfunded mandates, and much, much more. I am proud of my accomplishment over the past 3 years, but tonight I really like to focus on what lies ahead. I spearheaded the effort to take a close look at the declining enrollment trends. This resulted in the formation of the Middle School Task Force. Along with my task force members, I am working closely with parents, with residents, and leaders from both towns